And so I started residency with my son was 8. My oldest was 8. My second son was almost a year old when we started residency. And residency it's a very difficult time. That is, I think, one of the most physically exhausting things that I've ever done. There's emotional exhaustion too, but there is physical exhaustion, but it's all worth it. It is something that I always wanted to do, and somewhere that, again, that I didn't know that I would get there, and I did. And so when I started residency again, I gave it my all, and my husband, again, very supportive. My husband actually he would work nights, and he would take care of our kids in the day. So he hardly ever slept. So both of us were very sleep deprived, and we hardly saw each other. We would only see each other in passing, or actually his job was at the hospital that I worked at. So if he worked nights and I worked nights, then we got to see each other. And so that was a big sacrifice, but again, something that we thought was important to do. And so we got through residency. And in residency during my second year, I had my third child. And so I had him in March of my second year of residency. And so then here I was, a resident with 3 kids, and I had decided that I would do a cardiology fellowship. And so during my pregnancy is actually when I did all my interviewing. So I went to my interviews very pregnant, which sometimes makes you feel a little bit conscious, because sometimes you think that in medicine, people expect you just to be a doctor and not really be a mother. And to me, that's not the way it should be. I think that you should be able to have a profession and be a mother. And so I went to those interviews very pregnant, and I think I was like 32 weeks with the last one. I waddled around those hospitals. The last interview I did was actually at UT Southwestern in Dallas, and they have you interview with like 13 people all day long, and you're just walking around, and I was exhausted, but I got through it. And I was lucky enough to match into a fellowship at UT Southwestern. And so that was our next step, was to move to Dallas and start my fellowship there. I think with fellowship, probably what started becoming more difficult was that is a very, not only physically exhausting, but emotionally exhausting and mentally exhausting program that you're in. Your fellowship is very intense, and you want to be a great pediatric cardiologist, so you do have to give it your all. And I did have 3 kids, and my husband at that point, we had decided, would be a stay-home father and not work, because it costs more money for us to put the kids in daycare than it would be for him to not work. And so he stayed home, which was very helpful. But then there was that financial struggle, because now we only have one income coming in. And so there was financial struggle, and it was hard to know that I was a physician who was worried about her bills. And it was frustrating, because you thought, I went to college like I was supposed to. I went to med school like I was supposed to. I did a residency, and now I'm a fellow, and I'm worried about money. Like, that doesn't sound right. And no one ever thinks that a physician is someone who would be concerned about their finances. But that's going to happen, and it comes with it. But again, it's one of those sacrifices that you make to get to that point, especially if you decide to have your children during training. And there are other people who decide to wait till after they're completely done with training and they're salaried, and to then have their kids. But for me, I felt like having my children was very important, and I'd rather not go on trips and not have nice cars and not have a huge house. We, lived in a smaller house. We were kind of crammed together. So like I said, it just made us closer. And we had, we have this minivan that is not the prettiest of minivans, but it worked. We all fit in it. So we made it work. And, the most important thing is that we were happily married and we loved our children. So we just worked through it. And so, fellowship was good, and I learned a lot, and we decided to have our 4th child. And so I had so the first 3 were all boys, and the 4th child is a girl. So we had our 4th child in my I always have to remember, in the very beginning of my 3rd year of fellowship. And so we had her, and of course, like I said, having children in med school or residency, fellowship, all those things, they bring, complications, and they make it a lot more different than those that aren't having kids, but you make it work. And for me, it was always very important that no one in my program, so residency, fellowship, ever had to do more work than I had to do just because I was having a child. I worked through I did all my calls that I was supposed to do, and I had my child, and I took the leave that I needed to, but I never had to extend any of my residency or my fellowship or my med school because I made sure to do all the work ahead of time, knowing that at some point I probably was going to have another child. So I think if you decide to be a professional and to have children, you just have to plan ahead, and you just have to know that things aren't as easy as other people. It might be for other people, but that's your decision. And if you choose to do that, then more power to you. And I think, the big message for me is that when I was pregnant at 16, mostly everyone thought that that's it. She's done. It's over for her. She's now gonna have to stay home and raise a child, and, maybe she'll go to school and still go to college, but she's not gonna be able to be a professional. She'll just have to get her degree and start working right away. But you can't let what people say, direct what you're going to do. You have to have the strength to know that you can do it. And like I said before, his life inspired me to be more than I knew I was. I really never thought that I was smart enough or brave enough or, just the person who could be a physician. But I am, because obviously I'm a physician and I love what I do. And so you just have to find what inspires you, even if you have different obstacles in your life. My obstacle was that I had a child at a young age. Everyone has different obstacles, whether it be, not having the family support or, maybe not having the financial support to get into med school, anything that's an obstacle. You just have to look within yourself and think, is this something that I really, really want? Is it something that I think is where I'm supposed to be? Am I supposed to be a physician? And if you are, then you figure it out and you make it work. And there are so many people, just like DiverseMedicine, who want to help. There are mentors out there who want to see you succeed, people who really care about your success.
Thank you for watching our videos. We have 2 things that we want you to do. Number 1, please leave a comment below or question so that we can try to make videos to address them. Or email us at info@diversemedicine.org. Number 2, please subscribe to our channel, and that way we can get the videos out to as many people as possible. Thanks for watching.